Hello, everyone, and welcome. It is July 16th, 2022, and I am your co-host, The Fat Wizard, joined today by...
Alamaxia.
And Lobos.
And today we're taking a look at Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and this was released on the PlayStation North America October 2nd, 1997. And, I actually played this for the very first time on the 360. And I think, Lobos, I know you've played this, but I'm really interested in hearing from Alamaxia, who was like, Symphony of the what? What's this game? So Alamaxia, I know you're a big fan of Metroidvanias. And
Yes.
This is kind of heralded as like the start, the precursor to the genre.
Oh my gosh.
Give it to me.
There is so much in this game. So much that I see in other Metroidvanias. Just the way it progresses, even the direction you progress from and need to progress to was very similar. The different types of items and power-ups you have to get, like the double jumps and being able to summon something or turn into something that can fly. I love Metroid. I now am just a huge Castlevania fan. Before Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest was honestly my favorite, and I feel like this is such a wonderful marriage of like the aspects of Simon's Quest that I liked with the more action-packed side of Castlevania. I love this game. I will be doing randomizers of this.
Oh, nice! Yeah,
very cool, very cool. Yeah. I'm actually, there's got to be some sort of like Metroid and Castlevania randomizer somewhere, right?
It's
gotta,
oh, maybe.
There's got to be.
Awesome.
If not, all right, we better stop recording so this idea doesn't go live and get rich off this.
Right.
All right, so let me get to the story real quick because what is a man? It's a miserable little pile of secrets. Okay, so I know, Lobos, you were playing a slightly different version, right? Because I think you had like So the translation was typical of the era, kind of, maybe they weren't paying so much on the translation and they didn't quite get it right. But do you remember kind of like what this said here when you're talking
you mean
to
what
Dracula?
it was actually saying?
Yeah, like what is
honestly,
remember anything there?
No, I don't remember. All I remember is the miserable pile of circuits because the original voice lines and just the script are so good and so memorable. And when I replayed it, I did it because I hadn't played the kind of remastered version, and I was just disappointed, and I don't remember anything about that. So
yeah,
it just made sense, and which was boring. So.
Okay, yeah, no, I can see that. So let's just kind of frame this a little bit here. I guess this is a direct sequel to Rondo of Blood, which I've actually never played. Anyone else? Have you played Castlevania Rondo of Blood?
Nope.
By the way, Rondo, I look up, I guess that's some sort of like music thing. I don't know. Lobos, as a resident music expert, do you know what a
Rondo
is?
alla Turca is a very popular classical song. I can't remember which one it is, but yeah. Some sort of ballad or song. I don't know.
Yeah, it's something like, has a symphony and they have a rondo. They're kind of on brand there with the naming of this. So anyway, you start off really kind of a cool, I think future games, they have kind of labeled this like abilities. Now, like not like the abilities you have, but it's like teasing you the abilities you might have. Right. So abilities. So you start off as Richter, and you're like fully powered up, and you go in to fight Dracula, and it looks very much like the end boss of Castlevania 1. But again, maybe that's how Rondo of Blood ends up. I should have done some research, but in any case, that's a very short-lived sequence, and you see the character Maria, and I think she like gives you some of her power, and she'll come back later on to help out this new character that we are now controlling. Alamax, you want to take it over? Who are we controlling and what are we doing?
We are controlling the son of Dracula, Alucard. And we are out.
Man, that sounds really familiar.
And we are out to stop Dracula from basically killing all humans.
Okay. Yeah. And so you start off pretty powerful. We're just blazing through this castle. We've got some good damage on our weapon here, but again, that's going to be taken away real quick as we meet Death. As his name is Death, and he basically says, Alucard, what are you doing here? And I'm going to take all your powers.
Yoink.
And so you basically start off with Actually, do you even have a weapon? We'll find out. I don't remember if he takes your weapon, you have to just immediately go find a weapon right away.
And
yeah, I don't remember. I
thought
you had a basic dagger, but maybe not.
This little part of the game, I still see in the other Metroidvanias. You talk about that abilities. You start playing through this first part of the game. You're really powerful, even as your character. And it's not so much you're playing a different character, learning about things, or a tutorial. It's like in Metroid. I see it specifically in Metroid, like Prime. That first area that you're fighting in, then you get out, and suddenly you're struck by something, and all your powers are gone.
Yeah. That's really cool because, I think what's the magical part about that is really just showing you how powerful you're going to come, and then it kind of gives you that incentive to be like, oh, cool, well, let's go find those powers and let's learn those naturally. So I'm a sucker for that. I'm a sucker for that progression and the kind of like, oh, now you can double jump, now you can breathe underwater, or walk underwater without getting damaged now. And so we just got the Cube of Zoe, and so this is, I think, is it Zoe or Zoe? I'm not sure.
I'd say Zoe.
And
Zoe.
And this, I guess, so it says you have a big relics page, right? And as you collect all these relics, they all award powers to you. Really cool is you can turn off the powers. So I think that was an amazing design decision for, if you want to do challenge runs, or you just like want to turn off the ability to do something sometimes. I thought that was cool. But anyway.
Yeah, so the Zoe one that says it lets you actually get the items and the hearts from the candles. So that's the point which you can start doing that. Also, I wanted to mention that I'm told that there's a trick where when you enter the screen with death, if you just mash backstep, you'll go back, and then he's gone, and you just keep the gear. So
you keep all your powers?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. All right. So you'll see... I don't want to say that I'm amazing at this game here, but I've seen a speedrun or two, and the quickest way to really move around is to dash backwards.
Oh, yeah.
And so I did that all the time. And I'm sure, Lobos, you kind of did the same thing. Now, Alamaxia, I wanted to say, like, did you kind of stumble upon that and start using that?
I noticed it was a lot faster. I honestly hardly really used it.
Okay.
It was kind of weird to have the dodge backwards. I'm used to having something that like charges me forward. So I just kind of stuck with basic platformer controls.
That's very much how I first played the game.
Yeah. If you hit the shield button like in the middle of your dash, it'll cancel the dash, and then you can super fast across. So that's like the speedrun travel.
Okay.
Travel strat.
That's cool. So we just finished off the first boss here, but I think the most important thing I want to chat about is that we leveled up, and we got a thing that increases our life. So you start out with pretty low max life. I want to say like 60 or 70, and each one of these vials gets you maybe another 25 life. So I think I ended up with around 600 life, and Alamaxia, I know you 100%ed this game, so you probably ended up with quite a bit more there.
There was a lot of life there.
Lots of life.
I feel like I was in the 700s or something. But when I was doing a little bit of research in this game after I beat it, your starting HP is very different, and even your stats can be different based on how well you fight against Dracula as Richter.
Oh, interesting.
Like if Maria has to use her Healy thing on you, then you get something different. If you can beat him without getting hit, you get like an additional 15 HP, 5 strength, and some other stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, I thought it would be the opposite. Like they would take away health if you did well.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like seeing how hard you want the game to be or something like that. So yeah, we talked about levels. I get when you kill monsters, you get XP, and that's kind of similar to Castlevania 2. Although Castlevania 2, you kind of cap out your XP like a good 30 minutes into the game or something. It's pretty short. But this one, I think I ended up at like level 48, and I think you get. Do you get like just stats up in general? Like hit points, damage, defense, and all that stuff. I think that's how that works.
I thought it was +1 to all your stats, but
I'm not sure if you get HP, mana, or anything out of it, but it is, I think, the stats thing.
Okay. So we're talking to Maria, and shows up a couple times. Does anyone know what her deal is? Like, why she's in the clock tower or why she's in this castle?
Well, she was the helper of Richter in Rondo of Blood. I know that much. Okay. So she's probably here to try to save Richter or to stop him from, destroying all humans.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more or less that. And she'll help us out. Actually, she kind of indirectly helps us out getting some items that will allow us to kind of help Richter. But yeah, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. So So you have some items here as well. So you see I have this Bible, and the Bible spins around and kind of damages enemies around you. I'll tell you what though, my MVP was the Holy Water. That's one where you can, it's very much like, Castlevania 1, you throw it on the ground, enemies just get burned down because it does so much damage. But I'm curious what everyone else, their item of choice was. Because, by the way, you can only pick up one item. So you kind of have to choose between which of the special items you want to use. And those special items use your hearts. Again, if you've played Castlevania, very familiar.
Yeah, I used the Bible pretty much all the time. Because especially later on, as you get stronger, like when I was doing a lot of backtracking and stuff, you could pop the Bible and then you could turn around and do the backdash like through just a hallway of enemies, and it would just take care of them. So it's just for traversal and just kind of a shield. It was nice.
Yeah,
I definitely went with the Bible. Not necessarily for offense, except for on bosses, but I used it to find all the little hidden walls and holes in the game. So I just popped that, and every room I went through, I just had that on, and I hit every edge of the room before I left.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Good way to do it.
So now we found a fight against Shadow Link here. No, we're fighting ourselves, and this it's pretty much a mirrored version. It's not even like the Shadow version. It's just like the same thing, but it does have some cool abilities. It's got this ability to kind of like jet across the room real quick, but in the same fashion of Shadow Link, I found myself just like crouching and just stabbing with my with my sword, and that worked. So.
Yeah, and I remember I don't know if it's after you beat the fight or whatever, but like you can go into the menu, I think, and there's like tutorials for like how to fight the bosses better, and they play a little video of fighting them. But like,
that's in the library, right?
Is that in the library? Okay.
Yeah, you have to buy them, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I thought it was, but then I watched what they did, and it seemed like way worse than what I did. And I was like, oh, okay.
Well, I think it's more of a
like things you can do, like
things you can do in basically fighting a boss perfectly, not fast, but just like look at all the cool ways you can do this stuff, like almost like a showcase. I think some of the later Mario Brothers stuff does that, where it's just like here's a very skilled player that has mastered everything, is just showing how you can chain everything together.
Yeah,
I definitely had to use that strategy for one of the much later, very very difficult boss fights. So that was pretty cool. At first, I was confused about it.
I thought you could only view that after you've beaten the boss.
No, I think as long as you've encountered them.
Okay.
Interesting.
All right, sure. Well, speaking of the librarian, we are now we have met the master librarian. By the way, this castle is set up such that there are kind of archetypes or biomes, and there's maybe like 10 or 15 different ones, but we're in the library right now, complete with big giant books that fly out and attack you. But there's this librarian that's kind of chilling, and for some gold or whatever, he'll give you he can give you some items, including I think a cape that allows you to customize the color of Alucard
Joseph's
or something like
cape.
that.
I did
Joseph's
get that at some point in the game, and you can color the inside and the outside, and it'll also change your bat's appearance.
Oh, nice.
Okay, cool.
That was really cool.
By the way, you can also change the color of your HUD, I believe, and I changed mine to kind of like a cool gray. But yeah, this is really kind of cool. These are things you wouldn't really expect to be fun, but I'm like, hey, I want to customize my HUD here. So you go to the librarian, and there's all sorts of things, and one of the things you can buy is a weapon. And so let's chat a little bit about we talked about items you can pick up, but let's talk about maybe some of the weapons, the armaments we can get. So Lobos, do you want to walk us through? Also, after you're done, I want to hear this legendary story of this this weapon that you opted out of on your first playthrough.
Oh,
if you
on my
remember
first
what I'm
playthrough,
talking about.
absolutely, yeah. Well, I don't necessarily remember all the weapon types, but there's kind of like daggers that are really fast, and they can be really high DPS. I remember early on I did use a dagger because it was just and it had a lot, like some really long combos, like that are pretty cool. There's swords, of course. There are these like magic rods that you can get later, kind of staff things that'll just, or like flails.
And I will say some of them kind of combo with other stuff in ways that aren't. There's a lot of stuff in this game you just kind of have to figure out by accident or by reading a guide.
Yeah.
You know, because I think I did get a stave that combined with a shield, and if I used them together, it gave me some like resist fire and ice or something.
Shield rod is busted. Yeah. That's like the most broken thing in the game. But yeah, there are some like Street Fighter style combos that you can do for some weapons, like, you know, Hadouken kind of input down right forward, and he'll shoot a projectile, or one of the katanas you can do, I think, kind of like a full, like a 180 circle, and then he'll do like a dash forward and stab. It's pretty cool. A lot of different things like that.
My success rate in doing the combos was about on par with Street Fighter, where it's like you kind of have to try 3 times to actually do the combo.
Some of them are real rough, yeah.
The one I loved, and I'm sure everyone did, was Soul Steal, because that will just it'll damage all the enemies on the screen and then heal you.
Yeah, Soul Eater, which those are actually spells, which are separate from the weapon kind of arts.
Oh, okay. I actually didn't realize that the weapons had moves you could do.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the spells there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, only like certain kind of more unique weapons would have that. Not necessarily everything, but some of them were really powerful.
So you do have a right hand and a left hand, and you can equip a shield in your left hand. Lobos, do I even need to ask what sort of weapon you used?
I mean, I changed weapons a lot, and I didn't really stick to one. And actually, the majority of like the latter half, I was using a wand, like a star rod or something like that. Yeah.
I was expecting like a full 2-handed weapon, but
no, I didn't do that quite so much because again, the backdash canceling, you have to have a shield to do that. So
Sure.
I kind of stuck to that.
There's also there's a eyewear you can put on, so you can get some spiffy glasses. None of this changes your character look though. There's slots for 2 different rings or amulets, I believe.
Accessories.
And then you can have accessories, thank you. And then you can have a chest piece. And I think that's everything.
Yeah.
And so Lobos, you want to recount the story of the sought after sword?
Well, did you get the Alamaxia? Did you get the Crissaegrim?
I did not.
Okay, the Crissaegrim is like something like, I don't know, 0.1% drop chance off of like an enemy that's on like 2 or 3 screens in the latter part of the game.
They're like these little floating heads, right?
Yeah.
They're schmoes, I think they're called.
Schmooze.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you get it, it's a really broken weapon, and it will just like multi-slash. It's just like, and it's really high damage, and you can get 2 of them and actually mash it faster, and it's just like in front of you. Oh my
gosh.
And it's a huge...
Yeah, you can basically have like a lawnmower in front of you while you're moving, right?
Yeah, so you just like hold forward and you just like mash, and it'll just clear through everything.
All right, BRB, gonna load my save file. And
But anyways, on my very first playthrough, which was like 7 or 8 years ago, I was doing no backseating at all. I wasn't looking at anything. And apparently one dropped, and it just decayed, but I never knew. And chat was just like exploding like... Wah! But to be honest, if I had gotten it, I probably wouldn't have used it because it's so broken. It kind of breaks everything.
Yeah, most of the game I was running with a short sword and a long sword. I mean, actually, I'd say all of the game I was, because I run up to something, stab with short, and then slash with the long. It was a really quick 1-2, 1-2.
That's cool.
So doing that combo along with the books, I pretty much just face tanked and killed them before they killed me, all the bosses.
Nice.
And then eventually, later in the game, there's flying swords that you can get that are really fun.
Let's chat a little bit about what's going on in the story here. So we just beat a hippogriff, and Maria is talking to us, and there's a little bit of lore, and she's asking about Richter. and she basically says, "Hey, Richter disappeared. I'm looking for him. If you see him, let me know." And so that you kind of have like you're still going to kill Dracula, right? That's your whole mission. So you're kind of like, all right, well, I guess I'll do this. And I don't know if you can meet Maria out of order. I think everything is kind of gated such that you need to progress to one area before to the next. But again, not 100% on that.
Yeah.
Now, we have just gone down to the caverns, which is kind of the southern part of the castle, or is it the northern part? And so there's the boatman. There's kind of the Charon from the River of Styx type of guy. And by the way, in here, he takes you between the water. At this point, you can't touch the water because you'll take damage. So you want to use this. You'll want to use the ferryman's boat to get across. But anyway, there's a fat 2,000 gold on that journey, which was kind of cool. If you're farming gold, that's the place to get it. So. And one of the things you'll get there is a mermaid statue, and that allows you to then use that ferryman in another area we're going to get to in a little bit. Because if you don't get there, or if you don't get that, then you'll get to this area with a bunch of water, and you just can't cross. And I think you need that to progress to get some stuff in the game. All right, so let's chat a little bit about this this boss we're fighting. I actually really like this boss because you fight it a little bit prior. It's like this little worm that kind of comes out and just comes out of the wall. And it's pretty easy, and you're like, that's okay, whatever. And then you move up a couple screens, and then it's like, whoa, it's 3 of those and a woman that's controlling them. So this one, for me, pretty easy. Again, holy water makes short work of the little heads. And then once the heads are down, you just get a little bit close to this. I guess it's not just a woman, but it's like 2 wolves. So it's like a woman, 2 wolves, and 3
But I think
eels.
It's all one beast, It's all
what is that?
I don't know.
What the heck
Some
is
sort
that?
of chimera. I mean,
I
chimera
was about
is
to say chimera.
generally a bunch of things mixed together. So
Yeah.
But yeah.
So here's where we learn an important thing, but I forgot about it. Once you beat that boss, there is this little skeleton dude, and he picks up this. He has this big like exploding barrel, and he throws it on this wooden plank, and it blows up the plank, and then you can get some sort of shield. The shield doesn't matter. What does matter is that teaches you, if you happen to remember, how to access an area you'll need to get to a little later in the game. Did anyone have to look that up? Because I certainly did.
Oh.
How to get past that little bridge thing.
I did. And after seeing that and the text that followed, it made perfect sense.
Yes. Yeah. That's right. What did the text say? We glossed over that.
It's like something has appeared in the caverns or something like that. And it's just another one of those skeleton apes right next to a platform that looks exactly like what it just destroyed, but you don't remember it because... Oh,
yeah. Why would
so
you?
beautiful?
Nice.
Down in the caves or caverns or whatever, you then find yourself some sort of fishing hook or something, and then that allows you to get, it allows you to stay underwater without taking damage.
I think it's a scuba.
So that's
like
great.
A scuba, snorkel type of thing.
Yeah.
That's what I always saw it as.
And we just missed an area here. I touched it on briefly. I just wanted to express my anger in continuously watching Lobos break the game because
it's not breaking
there's this
it.
area.
That's how it works. No, it's the
all right.
mechanics
So
of the
the
game.
setup is in the northeast of this castle. There is this big kind of open courtyard, and there's these giant floating skulls around, right? And you see some really cool loot. There's a sword there, and there's a chess piece there, and you can't jump to it from below. And then if you loop around and jump, you try to jump from above, you just can't quite make the jump. And in my head, I'm like, I know that there's a bat form that I'll get to later, which, by the way, we've picked up the wolf form. We should chat about that. But I knew there was a bat form, so I'm like, I'll come back later. But Lobos, being ever the annoying gamer he is, he's got a strategy.
Good gamer, yep.
So what did you got that?
No, you get the dive kick, and the dive kick, if you dive into an enemy's head, it will bounce you up, and then you can use an enemy to get you a little bit higher, and then you get a jump after that, and then you can jump up to there. So
So he basically bounced off the enemy's head to get that loot that I had to wait for. I'm like, oh, hey, Lobos.
I wonder if you get damage boost to get up there.
I don't know.
I don't think damage boosting, because that I think that will actually kind of force you down a little bit.
I think it's mostly horizontal.
Yeah.
In Super Metroid, you can definitely control your damage boosting a lot. I don't know about if they do that for speed runs in this.
Okay.
But, no.
Well, do you want to talk about the wolf power-up, Lobos?
Sure.
I'll prefix this with saying I found it completely useless, and so I'm kind of wanting to know if you found any use of it at all.
I did here and there, but like the wolf, you morph into this purple wolf, and it's really slow moving, and I think you can double tap like a direction sideways, and he'll start sprinting, which is fine. It goes slightly faster than maybe your normal walk speed, but as you go through the game, you'll unlock more abilities for the enemies. I mean, the animals that you can turn into, and you get some nicer abilities later on. I don't know if you want to.
I think you can shoot fireballs or something.
Yeah, you can get this really nice charge ability where you just zoom like almost an entire screen, and it damages enemies too, and you just charge through them.
Okay.
Yeah, but with the wolf, I used that quite heavily, especially in the exploration part, because when you do that dash, the double tap and you hold. Once you get up to a certain speed, you charge through and damage enemies.
Yeah,
and you could even launch yourself if you hit an edge and jump just right. You could just launch.
Yeah, I've seen a skip to like Dracula using the wolf that way.
So I kind of wonder if there's been people that have done like a wolf challenge run.
Wolf only.
Be the wolf as much as possible.
Oh gosh.
Get on that, Lobos.
So I'm just finding the holy rod kind of in you go to the library and there's a bookcase you can push, and I really like the holy rod. I used this for a while. I think, Lobos, you said you used the shield rod. Right?
I used a lot of rods. I think I used this a bit. I think the moon rod is like the one I use the most, though. But yeah, this is good damage.
Okay.
This
one I think has something where it'll spit out some sort of projectile, I think. Some sort of like blue spinning projectile or something like that. I'm not entirely sure if this was the one, but yeah, I like this. This was quite fun. So we're just kind of moving around here. We've passed this clock tower a couple times, so I think it's worth mentioning the importance of this clock tower. Alamaxia, do you want to walk us through the clock tower? There's kind of 3 entrances, if you will, exits in the clock tower.
Yeah, I mean, you can enter in from the left or the right, and it's a normal way to get in. But what's interesting is you can see some exits in the upper left, upper right, and in the upper middle. And the upper left and upper right are blocked off, except for, and I couldn't pinpoint the logic. Was it on the 5 minute that the upper left would open, or is it just whenever a minute passed in the room?
I thought it was a minute.
I think it's every minute.
Yeah, there's an upper left path that you could go into. That would open up after that minute. But there was the upper right path that I could not figure out for the life of me how to get through it. And Wiz gave me a little riddle, and I was like, oh, okay. And you had to grab...
Do you remember what the riddle was? I don't remember what I had said there.
I do have it. 1 second. I can pull it up.
Yeah. And then while you pull that up, the very middle one can only be opened when you have 2 items that you're equipping.
That's right.
And the items, if you read the description, if you're a lore expert, you might realize what it is when you pick them up. See if Alamaxia has found the riddle yet.
I did find the riddle. Some paths can be opened by the passage of time, others the absence.
That is such a great... I made that.
That was a good riddle.
That was an amazing riddle.
That was good.
Nice.
I think we should just not tell people how you do it then, and just use that riddle, play this game, and see if you
do it.
All right, cool. We've stumbled into the gladiatorial pits, and we are fighting a boss, a werewolf, and a Minotaurus. Oh, it's a Minotaur, but it's also a Taurus. So it doesn't matter because he died in about 5 seconds. So again, the holy water, some enemies are kind of resistant to the holy water. It'll just do like 1 damage, 2 damage. But if you start seeing the 15s or 20s comes out, that's your ticket to just hammer home. And as best I could tell, that holy water will stack. So you can throw 2 or 3 of them on the ground and say goodnight.
Nice.
That's cool.
So Yeah, holy water. There's another one, which is the cross, which is, I think people like that one a lot too. But that one just does it. It uses a ton of magic, so you're only going to be able to cast like one or two of those with your magic pool. And I think it does. It just does damage to everything.
AOE,
yeah. And then after that, you go ahead and you get the first form that really starts to allow you to move around the area differently than before. So the wolf doesn't, allow you to access any new areas. It's just kind of, oh, cool, here's a thing. But the mist allows you to pass through these little grates. And then you saw, I think we were in the library where there was a grate that mist could go through. And then on the other side of that grate was the bat. And once you get that, you essentially have all the mechanics you need to explore the rest of the castle. So, and familiars. I just picked up a familiar.
Yeah, we didn't talk about those.
Yeah. Why don't you talk about those, Lobos?
Sure. I mean, there's a bunch of familiars you can pick up. There's Fairy, Airy. There's Fairy, Aerie. There's like a little demon guy you can get. There's like a different.
There's a sword.
There's the sword, which is what I
sword.
use the majority of my playthrough, which is a very cool familiar. I thought you were
I used a
There's
bat.
a ghost.
Or there was a ghost. I think I used a bat or something like that.
I mostly used a demon.
Okay.
The demon?
Mm-hmm.
The demon's one of that's like the gargoyle, right?
Yeah.
So the cool
you'll need to go ahead.
The cool thing about the sword familiar is as you level it up, eventually it actually, if you turn it off, it will become a weapon that goes in your inventory. And the higher you level it, the more damage it does, and it gets pretty insane at high levels. If you max it out, it's like disgusting damage.
Oh. That's cool.
Yeah.
The bat, as you level up, more bats will come and join you when you're in bat form and shoot fireballs.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
And that gargoyle or the demon thing, there's a couple areas where there is a button, and then they can use that. They can hit that button. For some reason, that familiar can hit the button. So here's kind of a fun joke I kind of wanted to play on Alamaxia. We're at 30 minutes in, and we're fighting the final boss, and we're going to see the end of the game. And I was, I didn't want to spoil anything for Alamaxia. It's like, hey, play the game as much as you want. You might want to look up online after you're done. But I thought it would have been really funny if it was like, and here's the credits. And Alamaxia's like, wait, what? We're only halfway through the episode. We already beat the game. What the heck is going on? But if you go to, I guess kind of call it the final boss of the game, without having some special items, you are fighting Richter. And Richter is pretty powerful, pretty beefy. He's using, a powered up whip. He's got some axes he's throwing. The whip has fire on it too. But I'm sure you folks are all the same way. At this point, you're pretty powerful, and so the damage he's doing is kind of not meaningless, but it allows you to kind of not be so great at the game, which I'm okay with.
I can't remember exactly where I picked it up, but I was using the walk armor for most of the game.
Walk armor is
really
MVP.
Nice.
That's what I use as well.
It increases your defense for every room you discover. And whenever I found it, from that point on, it was better than anything I picked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it scales really nicely when you go into the second phase of the game. I did find some armor that was a little bit better on the first castle, but once I moved into the second castle, it was much more powerful.
I forget if you get the kind of the zip jump. Is that in the second part of the castle?
The zip jump. What is that?
Where you press like down, up, and jump, and then you go whoop, and you like you.
I don't remember.
You don't remember that?
That's a thing?
Yes. And in fact, if you take... Okay, I was going to mention this, but you can get a Dracula Tunic by going to the library, going underneath the guy who's the librarian,
right?
And you use this zip jump, and you push him up, and like you can push his chair up. And if you do this like 30 times without hitting the ceiling, then you'll get loot. And well, there's like different tiers. There's like something at like 15 and like 30 and 50 or something like that. And you can get a Dracula Tunic early, which is like insanely good. Yeah.
I
had no idea.
Such a weird little mini game that's kind of hidden. But
there is so much to this game.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I remember Alamaxia, you're like, is there any point on this cursed sword that you got? I'm like, no, I think this is just, it's more or less a challenge run sword. It does, I think, very specific enemies will do a lot of damage because of how the damage mitigation works or whatever. And anyway, so we beat the boss, and you get to the the credits. It shows the castle kind of dissolving into light, and then I don't remember what Alucard says, something about humanity, blah blah blah. And I just can't think in my head, like, imagine all the people that
stopped there,
bought this game, and they just stopped, and that they had fun. Like, I had fun. That takes maybe 6-8 hours to get that far if you're kind of exploring most of the game. I had a fun time. It seemed like a full experience, and it's just crazy to think that there's a time and place where games, like literally half the game was sort of behind some secret stuff. So I think that's so crazy just to think about. That would almost be
like the
unheard of.
Only game
today.
in recent times that did that I can think of is Dark Souls, because the
Right.
Ash Lake, just hidden behind two
exactly.
illusory
Two
walls,
secret
and it's
walls.
like, what?
Yeah.
But Super Metroid
And I
did this
remember
as well, and even for the critical path, like to get down to Ridley, it's like you just have to like find
that's right.
random spots to bomb and stuff. It's crazy cool.
So how do we get to the true ending, or at least the true ending of Castle 1? Does anyone remember the two things you need there?
Got to get the gold ring, and you got to get the silver ring. Because you got to go fight Maria.
Do you have to fight her? I don't think I fought her. You just talk to her, right?
No, she tests your strength.
I think that's in the newer. Did you play the newer one, Alamaxia?
I played the one that was on PS5. So
yes. So that I think that is new and wasn't in the original.
Okay.
But yeah, she's like, I want to make sure you're strong enough to go all the way, and then
Okay. Yeah, I think when I meet her, she just kind of runs out of the room, and then behind her is this silver ring, I think. I don't remember.
She's the one that gives you the goggles, the holy glasses.
Yes. Yes, but okay, so you have to go to the center of the clock room.
Yeah.
We'll get there. Yeah. So what we have to first pick up is the spike mail.
Oh yeah.
Because the spike mail, to get to the, I think again, silver ring, or where Maria is, there is a room that is full of spikes, and spikes on the ceiling and spikes on the floor. And if you put the spike mail on, it will destroy any spikes you touch. You may be able to use mist form to bypass this. Did anyone try that, or does anyone know if you're able to get past this area without?
I desperately tried using mist form.
Okay.
I even used like the extended mist to take me all the way across the room, and I was like, okay, if I can just let go of it here, jump at the right time, maybe it can. Nope, I'd get damaged all the way back. So that's when I was like, there's something else that lets me get through here, because I couldn't even like bat form and open the door.
Yeah.
Okay. We're fighting a boss that honestly reminded me of one of the Dark Souls. I think maybe it was Bloodborne, where he keeps like spawning enemies and like throwing them, just like throwing dead bodies on the ground. Does that sound familiar?
You mean the one Reborn?
Yeah, that's what it was.
The giant moon poop boss.
Yes. Yeah. Because this one was just a big giant blob of humans that are all kind of
falling off.
And so you have to stab the humans, and they'll fall off, and they'll resurrect as zombies or whatever.
That fight was all about crowd controlling.
Yes, crowd control. By the way, it's called Spike Breaker, not Spike Mail. Anyway, so once you kill enough of these humans, you kind of unveils a heart or whatever, and then you can use that heart to kill, or stab that heart to kill the enemy, and then you can get your spike mail armor, which again is what we've got on right now. We just equipped it, and now we're going to meet Maria, and so maybe this is different than what you saw here.
Oh no, this is one we just talked to her, and she's like, "Oh yeah, here you go."
Oh, okay, I see. I know it's where you actually get the goggles.
Yeah,
she tests you there.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Okay. So we use that spike breaker armor. We're talking to Maria. I'm not sure what she's saying here very well, or I can't read that well while I'm trying to chat. And anyway, you run past her, and you're gonna find a either silver, gold ring. Okay, so that's the silver ring. And then there's a little clue on, if you look at them, like I mentioned before, there's a little bit of lore. It says like where ... clock.
Oh,
I think, something like that.
Yeah. It's like half of a sentence, but like alternating every word it's missing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then here's an interesting thing. Throughout the game, we've seen these save rooms. These save rooms are they look like a D12 that are red, and they spin around, and then you use them, and the coffin comes, and you save. But this one, for whatever reason, was purple. And so you use it, and you get teleported back in time to where your mother, Lisa, Lisa is being burned at the stake. And I guess this is kind of the premise of why Dracula wants to kill humans. Is that?
Yeah.
Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, actually, well, not to spoil, but I mean, this is all in the first episode of the Castlevania Netflix series, and that kind of follows this sort of storyline too. That's pretty cool.
Okay.
Dracula even talks about it toward the end when you fight him. He's mentioning how, Lisa's death is what spawned his hatred for everything.
Yeah. So this is a cool boss fight. It's Lisa turns into a succubus who, she's trying to manipulate your thoughts and make you try to kill humans, but Alucard's like, no, I see the good in humans. And also, this isn't how my mom was talking, because my mom also saw the good in humans. Yeah. So this is a fight where she flies around, she'll spread her wings and then shoot out these almost like tethers or something. Basically, it sections off the level such that you need to get in between these little tethers or take damage. She'll also spit out some, I don't know, projectiles at you. But, honestly, it wasn't that hard of a fight. I think it was one of those you just kind of stab her a couple times and she eventually dies.
The game as a whole, I feel, isn't very difficult, except in like a couple of parts, especially if you are, collecting a lot of things, because then you're leveling, you're getting so much stronger, so much more defense, and you kind of overpower it. But it's still fun. And doing challenge runs would be a whole nother thing. Like, there's so many bosses I fought that I was like, hit, take hit, take hit, whatever. Okay, maybe pop a heal. Okay, he's dead. Nice. But yeah.
There was one boss, and this will be kind of the bonus boss we're not going to have on the main footage, but while we're talking about other stuff, we got the bonus boss here, which I actually did have some difficulties on. So, and this is in the, it's not the it's like the floating catacombs, is that what they call it? I don't remember the area name.
So
we've got the...
I had it written down here. Castle Center. Okay. I think it's just really what it's called.
Oh, is where we are now? We've equipped the silver and gold rings, and yes, the clock tower spins around. It strikes 13 times, and you go in and meet Maria. And again, for my version, Maria just gives you the goggles and says, hey, someone's controlling Richter. Use these goggles to see who it is. And I guess I'd love to know, what does the fight look like? Does anyone remember with Maria here?
I don't remember her being difficult. It was, same kind of...
Just stab her a couple times.
I think she was jumping around and slashing, but nothing that I really... I don't know.
Yeah, I mean...
Maybe Alamaxia remembers more.
With pretty much all the bosses, I just went damage mitigation through superior firepower.
Yeah.
Just kill it before it kills you. Ignore all mechanics. So, I'll be honest, most bosses were a blur to me.
Yeah. And I'm sure that most of the bosses you completed without a retry, right?
Yeah, I mean, like Lobo said, it was not difficult. And once you do a bit of extra exploration, you find a couple extra of those life up and hard up items. The game becomes trivial.
Yeah, then you can find healing potions, and you can find your wall chicken to throw on the ground and eat.
Floor chicken.
So we're fighting Richter again, but this time something interesting's happened. There is a green ball that is swirling around, and if you focus and you do enough damage on that green ball, there is this character named Shaft, which will appear, and Richter kind of falls down, and Shaft, you realize, Shaft is this person controlling Richter. And so after that happens, you get a really cool sequence. It's kind of similar to the sequence we saw when we first beat the game, but now that you see this castle, which is inverted, is coming down from the sky. And so we're going to head on over there because Shaft presumably is over in that new castle.
When that castle came out of the sky, I just went, what? What?
Nice.
Wait, so did you look up about the silver and the gold rings and you had to use those?
No.
Or did you find that?
I
figured that out.
I saw the text on them. It's like one said where clock and the other one in tower. So it's like where in clock tower. So I went there, it took me under, and then it's just Maria's like, use these goggles, and I just threw them on and just kept them on for a while.
Yeah.
And
I don't think I realized either, like even on my second playthrough, that the holy goggles or what let you see that.
Now with the rings, there is another great hint in them. Where clock in tower.
Yeah.
What?
Think about it.
Where clock in tower? I mean, it says it right there. Where in clock tower?
No. Where clock in tower. Use the clock power up to get to.
Okay, I see.
Riddles.
That's a little bit of a stretch because it's the wrong spelling of where, right?
Well.
Right.
Right.
You have to
like
use
where.
it.
Oh no, it is where. No, WEAR. Where in clock tower? Well, I guess it's a hint for both technically. Wait, no.
Okay.
Where clock in tower.
To get to the upper path.
Yes. Are you talking about I think my riddle is much better.
Oh, your riddle's way better. Way better.
They should have hired me. What are they doing? Hey, so you didn't know that there's going to be this big upside down castle then?
Not at all. And when I went into it and I realized
cool.
it was literally the same castle, just up.
Yeah.
Everything is upside down. I was so happy because I was like, I get another half of the game to play through.
Nice.
And things start to make sense because the game is designed fairly well, right? In terms of how the levels are laid out. But a couple levels are like, this is kind of there's just something off about this. It's kind of questionable. Like, why are these pits here? Or why is there a pit in the ceiling?
Yeah.
Or you'd be like, this is a little weird, but okay, whatever. And then it's when you come to this upside down castle, you're like, oh, I see. Brilliant. So what are we doing in here? Well, we have 5 creatures we have to kill, and we have to get the 5 pieces of Dracula. And so we are fighting Arnold Schwarzenegger, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's named a creature. And this guy has a
Frankenstein's
big
monster
mallet
with a mallet,
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of rolling.
But holy water does pretty good on this. And actually, I think we already got a piece of Vlad. I think we had some sort of reptile flying monster or something.
Yeah, it was like
we kind of talked over.
Weird reptile vampire bat thing. And it drops the first piece of Vlad.
And I love that you have to collect these different pieces of Vlad because with Simon's Quest being my favorite Castlevania, you have to do the same thing in that. I thought this was just such a wonderful throwback.
These are the schmoes.
It's
farm it
schmo.
For the Crissaegrim.
Yeah, I didn't get it. But the 5 pieces are kind of scattered throughout, I guess, some of the major bosses here. But there's a lot of bosses that we're not going to cover, and they'll just give, health up or hearts up or something like that. So, we're going to kind of breeze through this because a lot of the castle is basically the same. Like, it's kind of cool to see the upside down stuff, but at the same time, we're really here just for the bosses. So we're just going to kind of skip to those. So the next boss we have is Medusa. By the way, I've read my Greek mythology. Ooh. Anyone else? Anyone else pull out the shield?
Which shield?
The shield for fighting the Medusa?
I don't think so.
Because, the Medusa will shoot laser beams out of her eyes, and if they hit you, they'll turn you to stone.
Yep.
But if you have a shield, they won't hit you and turn you to stone.
Oh, just any shield?
I'm using the...
I thought you were talking about a specific one, like because there's also armor. I think that makes you immune to petrification.
Probably.
If there is, that really would have helped in that in those side clock towers where you have all the Medusas flying around. Oh my god, those were by far the worst rooms in the whole game. Especially because they had a puzzle within them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, there's the gold Medusa's heads will turn you to stone, and the problem is you're jumping on gears, and the gears will make you fall down if you don't jump on them. So you'll get turned to stone, and the gear will make you fall down, and then you just keep falling down. It's
rough.
It's painful. We just got the rib of Vlad. There is a mummy. It kind of harkens back, in my mind, back to Castlevania 1 with the double mummies. And so this one is just a single mummy. You kill that. I think we're going to get to a spot, I don't know if it's here or coming up, where there are multiple coffins that we'll have to fight enemies in, which they're like imposter Maria or something like that.
Oh.
I felt like the bosses here, they kind of knew that the bosses were almost pushovers because there wasn't a whole lot to them. A lot of them just kind of have one or two attacks and nothing too complicated. Nothing like in my opinion, nothing like a Mega Man boss, right? Where there's a lot of like real predictable things they're doing, but once you memorize it, you can kind of just beat them up.
I do like how in the Inverted Castle, there's enemies that were bosses earlier in the game, and now they're just like regular enemies you gotta just fight through.
Yeah, because I remember in the maybe in the library, in the regular castle, there's like you fight the like lesser demon, and I was like, really, lesser demon is the boss? And of course later it's just a regular enemy. It's like, okay.
Or that Minotaur and the werewolf, they were your Colosseum fight, and they're everywhere. And
oh yeah.
In one of these, there's a boss named Cthulhu.
Yeah,
and it's just it's like, no, you're actually just killing Cthulhu. And I'll tell you what, a lot of the monsters here are chunky boys. They are big, fat boys that take up a bunch of the screen. Case in point, we've got Bezel Bub, and this is a really kind of interesting fight. Who wants to walk us through this one if you guys remember it?
I remember it.
Yeah.
Bees and more bees. And I think I think you normally pronounce it Beelzebub, but now you said Bezel Bub, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Listen,
no, it's a credit.
Yeah,
because there's so many bees.
I never got commended for my pronunciation skills.
Well, there's always a first time, and he's just this giant, rotting, hanging corpse, and you attack his feet, and his feet fall off, and you attack his thighs, and his thighs just rot off, and then you have to jump up and climb on these platforms to reach the rest of them, and there's bees flying at you. Bees. It's always got to be bees.
They respawn. It's like every cycle, those bees will respawn.
Yeah, it's like you have.
I actually found the throwing axe very useful in that situation because he's kind of hard to hit, but if you just jump up and throw the throwing axe, you can knock him down pretty fast.
I think I ended up using the book and flying up with my bat to hit him, and just did that.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
And later on we'll see we'll get a thing called acid fog, and I try to cheese the game a little bit, but the game is not having any of it, so we'll get to that. Now there is one item I would love to know if you guys know what it is. So the item, it's kind of like this red thing. So it's a magical item, right? And it looks kind of like a steel red thing. Is
it like a super rare one?
Yeah, it's pretty rare. Does anyone know what that does?
Doesn't it do like a chain lightning kind of thing?
What? Chain lightning?
I'm
not sure if I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you can get it very rarely, or there's like a room that has like a bunch of like capsules, and you can get all of the items or whichever item you choose, there. Now because I remember getting that, and somebody was like, "Oh, he's not using it." It's like, that's my favorite, and I was like, "Okay, I'll check it out." I think it was dang. Yeah, I don't.
And I'm going through the item list.
I'd be really curious what it is.
I thought it was like
but here's this location I was talking about with the 3 coffins, and there's a fake Sympha, fake Trevor, and a fake Grant. Are these the characters from Castlevania 3?
Yes.
Does any? Okay, that's what I thought.
Castlevania 3, interesting.
Because I know there's a bunch of characters you recruit.
Are these all Belmonts? No, they're not all Belmonts. Because it's Trevor, right? Ooh.
Yeah, Trevor's one. Anyway, one of them is climbing
and fake Trevor.
One of them is climbing the ceiling like a beast. The woman there is flying around shooting cold spells. That was probably the most annoying one. And then there's the fake Trevor, which is just swinging his whip on the ground there.
Mm-hmm. So, this was a frantic
kind of cool
fight.
To see that.
I got stun locked a few times in that.
Ooh.
And did you die?
No, I didn't die. I came very close. I had to food up a couple of times in it.
Yeah. Okay.
But being so frantic and everything, that was one of the more difficult fights in the game. I had to actually try on that.
We also picked up it's not very useful except for one area, but there was the bat can use sonar now, and what that's used for is there's one specific room in the game that is completely pitch black, but if you use your bat form and use your sonar, it actually lights up in front of you. So you can actually get through that room without using sonar, I think. I think that's kind of what I did. I don't remember.
For a good chunk of the game, whenever I had sonar, I thought you could use it to find hidden areas like in the walls. So I went along the walls using sonar a whole bunch.
Seems reasonable, right?
Yeah, that took up a lot of time I didn't need to do.
The
well,
sonar
got to death.
The sonar also deals damage, so you can kill enemies with it. Yeah.
Yeah, when you power it up, right?
Maybe so. Yeah.
Or yeah, I don't remember. Can you use sonar immediately when you get the bat, or is it the sonar?
No, you have to get
okay, yeah. So we got the sonar ability, and that does damage, right. So we got to death. Tank and Spank is the name of the game here, but this is one of those where it's like, oh yeah, I remember death at the very beginning of the game, and I think he's got the last of the 5 pieces we need to go fight Dracula.
I like how
Shaft and then Dracula.
I like how the first part of the death fight, because it is a 2-phase fight, and the first half is like, I just remember that from Castlevania 1, all the sickles flying around the room. That was good.
Yep.
Nice.
And then you gotta fight Cookie Monster, the big statue thing. Now I actually didn't get one of these cards. I think it was the sword card. That was like the big thing I didn't find. I don't know. I didn't 100%. I think Alamaxia, you got the full 206%, which is the most you can get naturally. You can get much higher if you are cheating and kind of exploiting the game. I think I ended up with like 197, so not quite 100. Everything,
there too,
yeah. I got like a good majority of the stuff, but
like there were some spots that I needed to go like uncover the map that I knew, and I was like, nah, never mind. Yeah. I'm here.
Yeah, the weird thing is like some of the things you have to uncover, you just have to jump really high on the screen, or you have to just use your bat form, and there's no real room there per se. It's just kind of empty space.
Yep.
There are some hidden areas where the breakable spot was on the ceiling. Those were difficult to find.
Yeah.
The book came in handy for those, or the axe, but that still was kind of an arduous process to find like the 3 areas in the game where you had a breakable wall at the ceiling or on the floor.
We have got to the penultimate boss here. His name is Shaft. I'm curious if Shaft shows up in any of the later games or in the earlier games, because this is my first introduction to him, so I don't know if he was a big thing.
He was one of the main antagonists in Rondo of Blood.
Oh, okay.
All right. This one, we didn't see me pick it up, but I do have this acid fog, and fog, by the way, turns you completely invulnerable. But you can't really do much. But with acid fog, you're invulnerable, you're flying around, and you can deal damage. I'm like, oh, this is perfect, because this boss was flying around, so I should use acid fog, and it just guards. So that's kind of a bummer, because that would have been perfect then. So, who wants to walk through Shaft, and I'll let the other person walk through the final boss. Who wants to volunteer here?
Honestly, again, kind of not too memorable. There's things on the screen, and you avoid them or you get hit. He's got the green balls floating around him like the one that was kind of controlling Richter before, so it's a cool throwback. But
sometimes the green balls will shoot lightning between them and kind of move around the room.
Yeah. He's floating around, like with his legs crossed in this kind of weird spinning circular kind of device, and then
he almost looks like I don't, what do they call it, an orrery? The thing where it's like there's like the planets and they're spinning around. Is that what they call that? I don't know. It's like you'd see them in those like scientific buildings. The scientific buildings that they'd have like the planets that would spin around and you could model the universe. Anyway, his little balls look like they're spinning around him like that. And then all right, well, Alamaxia, walk us through the final fight of Dracula.
This is a Dracula unlike any Dracula I've ever seen. He is just massive, takes up the entire upper 4/5 of the screen, and it's just again, for me, it was just kill it before it kills you. There's a lot of stuff going on. He'll sit in the middle of the screen, just kind of try to melee you back and forth. Eventually, he'll fly to the back of the screen and shoot this big energy ball out, which, dash out of the way of that. But for the most part, I use kind of the same strategy against him as Dark Link. Sit in the bottom left corner of the room and just swing my sword. It's a safe spot.
Oh, that works out? Okay.
Yeah, on the very bottom left, his left claw doesn't hit you.
Okay. That would be handy. Because, I'm looking at his right claw now is kind of all the way to the side of the screen. Yeah. So I think I did have to heal up a couple times in this fight because he does kind of a lot of damage. Again, with that walk armor, most of the enemies were doing like 1 to 2 damage to me. But when I came in here, this guy's taken off, 20 hit points there or something. One of the things I did note that I used a lot is if you jump attack, your attack you seem to be able to mash a couple extra attacks in. Yeah. Whereas if you just sit on the ground, you have a very predictable cooldown.
So like a big like two-handed sword weapon that would be slow, you could hit attack right before you hit the ground, and you'd get a swing, but then when you touch the ground, it resets you, so you can swing again.
Oh,
so it's like voo, nice. Voo, 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 and you can just like keep doing tiny jumps to attack a lot faster than if you were just spamming it.
Now, this was a fight that having one of the beam swords came in real handy. I found the Heaven Sword at one point, and it's like a main hand sword. It like chucks across the screen, then it'll bounce back to you. And so using it on this guy, it's just like hit, bounce, constant. hit, bounce, and just keep doing that.
That's cool.
And while that thing is bouncing around, I'm stabbing away with my combat knife.
Other sword.
Nice.
That's a good strategy. I was always wondering like what's the real use of having dual wielding weapons there, but I guess that does make a lot of sense if you can throw one out, but still.
I used.
By the way, we got a little Bible verse here, Matthew 16:26. Something, I don't know.
Interesting.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that like I said before, I use the moon rod a lot, and one of the main reasons is if you do like the Hadoken kind of combo, it'll spawn like 4 or 5 like crescent moons behind you that spin, and they'll push forward like almost like a wall, and they'll pierce enemies, and it does a lot of damage. So I would just walk into a room and just do that, and just kind of keep spamming it, and it would clear out rooms.
Nice. Well, that's it. That was perfect timing because the screen just faded out at the end of your description there, and now we're seeing the very final cutscene. Now, I do know that Castlevania 1 and 2, and maybe 3, I don't know about 4, has a different endings based on, like time to complete. I don't know if this one has any special ending there, or if it's just all kind of like, hey, it's based on your clear percentage, whether or not you are able to finish the second castle or not.
Yeah,
but we are seeing the second castle just kind of dissolve into light.
I think there is a percentage requirement for that.
You mentioned just the time played and how it affects different things. There was one spot in the game where your time played was actually shown, and it was in that clock room where you have to use everything. The time on the clock is your play time. I thought that was so cool.
Nice.
There's something I think where that the center doesn't open for some time, I think, because I remember seeing a speed run. And the big thing, the guy was joking, we're on world record pace because there's like a hard cap before you're allowed to progress. So it's like, okay, everyone's always on world record pace because you just kind of have to hit that, like, that bus to move on to the other part of the game. So we have at the end here, we've got Richter and Maria. They are reunited, and Alucard is chatting with them. And so all seems well. Man, they should have made a Symphony of the Night too, I say.
I've heard very good things about the handheld Castlevanias, and I haven't played any of them.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Yeah, those are great.
Yep.
Yeah. So there you have it. That is Metroidvania. That is a Metroidvania. I'm saving this one. That's a Metroidvania game.
Right.
No, that's Castlevania Symphony of the Night complete. So I don't know. Last minute thoughts. Let's hear from you, Alamaxia.
I mean, like I said, this was incredible. It was so awesome to see the roots of all modern day Metroidvanias and play through it, and this quickly became one of my favorite games. It did not take long for me to see the brilliance in it, and now that we've even talked about it more and I'm seeing the further depths, like these layers of different abilities and spells you can use.
Yeah.
I 206% of the game, but I still feel like I barely touched it.
Right.
It's so cool.
Yeah. That's great.
Yep.
Lobos, how was going through it again for you?
Yeah, it's wonderful. I love Metroidvanias, and the fact that it's got, RPG elements to it. You can level, you can grind, you can farm items and like really good weapons, and they are not afraid to allow you to be like really overpowered. And I love when that's available to you, but not necessarily required. You can just like, man, I'm gonna go farm this super rare weapon, and then everything is easy. And it's the Vania in Metroidvania. So what more is there to say?
Yeah, 100%. Loved every minute of it. I think I put, this is another one of those that some of the games, they take a little bit longer for me to complete, but I think this is another one of those where I kind of spent like 6-7 hours on a Friday, just like tearing through the first half of it. So that was really great. Loved it the first time, loved it the second time, and will love it the third time when I play it sometime in the future. So there you have it. Before we move on, again, I wanted to give a special shout out to the Patreon supporters. Thank you so much. We had a little screen there thanking them, but thanks for supporting the show, helping this make this episode possible. And we got we've got, of course, that Discord channel that's got a community there and some discussion. And I wanted to bring up one of the things an individual, sorry, I forget their name, brought up. They were kind of a newer person to the Saturday morning gaming show, which is it's so cool. Like, imagine we've been doing this for like almost, I guess it has been 3 years. And so someone that's just coming in, like, they get a whole thing of history. They get to see how the show changes, how we incorporated Alamaxia and all that stuff. And so they're like, hey, what happened to the Hall of the Heroes? I was like, yeah, I love that. And so honestly, the whole reason we stopped the Hall of Heroes is it was kind of one of these things where we weren't seeing the participation. So it was just kind of the same people, 2 or 3 people that were doing it. I was like, is there any value here? And we always thought about, revisiting the concept there. And so we have some ideas. One idea may be something where it's like you have a Hall of Heroes for the whole year, and just, on your own time as you complete, one of the games we've played, you submit your screenshot and, you get credit for it and you get to be added to the leaderboard. If you remember, before the Hall of Heroes, you had to play the game that we were covering by the time we did the recording. So, it's a little bit of a time crunch for people there. But anyway, we really wanted to see feedback from the fans out there in the community. Like, is the Hall of Heroes something you'd like to see again? Do we think, is it fun to see the people participating? Is it fun to participate, and kind of enjoy the game? So, shoot us a message on SaturdayMorningGamingShow.com. Shoot us a message and say, like, hey, I would totally love to see Hall of Heroes, or, if we don't get any messages, we'll assume that people are kind of ambivalent to it and probably won't do it. But thank you to the individual there that kind of asked about it and prompted us to talk a little bit more about it.
Yeah. One last thing about this game. Sorry, one last thing I do want to talk about that we didn't even touch. The music, guys. Oh, yeah. The music is
we always forget to talk about the music.
I mean, if you're not a fan of Metroidvanias, just play the game for the music, guys. It is incredible.
Just go to that like arena area. That's my favorite ones. That so sleek.
Well, in my defense, I always watch and record these with the audio off, so I always forget about the sounds there. So
good.
Well, that's gonna wrap up this episode. Let's see. What do we usually do after this?
We usually decide what game we're gonna play.
What game we're going to play next? Well, Alamaxia, you're going to be quite busy doing some incredible stuff, so we should play something that is really going to highlight Lobos' ability to be a good gamer, because I really want to focus on him. Alamaxia, I already know you're a great gamer, but we need to pick a game that's really going to highlight Lobos' ability. So what are we thinking?
Dark Souls. Woo! Yeah. Wait.
Woo!
Wait a minute. No, that's not old enough yet.
No, it's not.
No.
Demon Souls is still about 10 years away. So.
Yeah, someday. What about a game I've never played?
Okay.
Called
and you have to be stealthy.
No.
That's perfect. I think that's it.
All right, fine.
There.
Sly Cooper, let's do it.
Sly Cooper. Yeah, this one was a fan sent in. Hey, you should play Sly Cooper, and we said, yeah, we should. And so we're going to do Sly Cooper for August, and I've been playing a little bit. Oh man, it's a lot of fun.
Cool.
And I think you'll enjoy it. You don't really have to be super stealthy.
Good.
It's different than like a Splinter Cell type of thing, but they have sort of some very light stealth mechanics on it.
That's
so
fair.
I think you'll enjoy it.
Fair.
It kind of reminds me of Ratchet and Clank, except for maybe a little stealthier version of that.
Nice.
So, yeah, very excited about that. Stay tuned in August. We're going to play Sly Cooper. But sadly, we have reached the end credits of this episode. So we really wanted to thank everyone for listening to us on the podcast or watching us on YouTube.
And be sure to go to Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, like, subscribe, give us those thumbs up, follow the podcast. Give us a listen. Keep on listening.
If you have any feedback, we'd love to hear from you. Shoot us an email at SaturdayMorningGamingShow@gmail.com or use the contact form on SaturdayMorningGamingShow.com.
Yeah, and hey, if you want to support us or future shows, you can head over to that website Lobos just described, SaturdayMorningGamingShow.com, or you can go to patreon.com/SaturdayMorningGamingShow. However, that's not the only way of supporting us. You could also, give us a thumbs up, a rating on podcasts, or hey, if you have a friend that likes video games, maybe introduce them to the show, see what they like, and then you can chat about how awesome Lobos is at sneaking around in Sly Cooper.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to listening to that one.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. And Alamaxia, again, I think you're going to want to play it regardless. You just maybe take your own time here. It's a pretty cheap game. I think it's like $20 on PS2, but it's good. It's pretty high production quality.
Okay.
It's by the Sucker Punch people, the what did they do? I forget what's their big thing. Infamous. Yeah, that was their big one. So, it is actually really cool to see some of the trappings that Infamous has. But I'm getting ahead of myself. That's next month's episode. So we just wanted to give one special shout out to TechnoAxe for much of the music on this episode.
For Saturday Morning Gaming, I'm Alamaxia.
I'm Lobos.
And I'm the Fat Wizard. We'll see you in August with Sly Cooper for the PS2.
Bye.
Bye.